Okay. So today I want to talk about uh, something I actually posted about recently. Today's topic is going to be any progress is progress that's meant to be celebrated. And I think this is also something that I struggle with, and it's acknowledging the wins that you have even when they seem like they're not large wins. And we'll talk about why it gets progressively harder and harder to do that, how to avoid it, all those things. How it applies to the gym, how it applies to life. So we'll get into that after this exercise. Side note, my legs are absolutely dead. Yeah, no, they're fried. My hamstrings are fried. My quads are fried. So hopefully I can get through this stuff fairly easily, and it's not a huge ask. But I might just do these. I might just do two of these. So probably one here, one off camera, and then we'll go do some cable crunches because I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through 3 sets of this. My legs are way too dead. I really don't want to do this. I am that tired. I don't think I've ever been this like drained before. Like, okay. I'm slipping. Of course. Why am I slipping, bro? I can feel the straps falling off. Yeah, we'll do one off camera. Hopefully we can get you more, but I can feel the straps like slipping off. I don't want to hurt myself. Okay. I don't know what's going on. It probably has something to do with my fingers or my finger and my injury uh, affecting my grip strength in some way, but I'm not going to deal with that right now. So we got our second set done. That's all that matters. We got, oh, it's over here. Ugh. I don't know why I feel so sluggish right now. Um, so let's talk about it. Let us talk about our topic. So, actually, let me do my warm up first. Okay. So, I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because um, it's something that's very easy to fall into, especially if you're someone that is an advanced lifter. Um, it's very easy to kind of like develop this habit of like, okay, progress is something that is normal and expected, and something that um, should only be celebrated when large accomplishments have been made. Um, and I would say that I have this issue as well, where I will endeavor to do something, and only if I guess, only if I've reached a specific point, or I've, um, you know, amassed a certain amount of progress, only then do I celebrate that achievement. It's not something that happens with every little thing. Whereas, the beginner finds it very easy to celebrate the little things just because they're new to this. They're new to it, so it's very easy for them to say, okay, well, we started at zero, um, and now we're here, and so you kind of lose perspective as you get better at this, especially when it comes to weightlifting and losing weight. But let's talk about why that is and how we can avoid that. So, well, I guess I kind of already talked about why. The reason why you kind of like lose the ability to understand what your wins really mean, and even like this, what small wins really mean, is because you get good at this. Um, it's the same. It's the same reason why, like, if you're an artist, um, and you're like 4, 5, 6 years into drawing or painting or whatever, you don't celebrate being able to do a single stroke. You celebrate being able to create a masterpiece. And you kind of lose the ability to appreciate when you develop or when you get better at certain nuances within your skill, right? Um, you lose the ability to kind of see your progress from an outside perspective, and you kind of fixate on the things that you really want to improve on. You become your own worst critic in a sense, which isn't a bad thing. It's only unhealthy when it's done to the extreme, to the point where you don't celebrate anything at all, and um, you kind of like you're not unhappy, but like you don't have any highs, if that makes sense. Usually, when you're striving for something, you have highs and lows, right? You get better, you get better, you have a setback. You get better, you have a setback. But when you're kind of stubborn in this idea that like, oh, not improving in like large amounts isn't worth celebrating, or that large amounts of improvement are the only thing worth celebrating. You kind of get stuck at this bottom part because you haven't improved enough to the point where you're like, oh, this is something worth stepping back and saying, wow, I did that, kind of thing. Um, so how can we avoid that? I think something that's super, super important, and we talked about this recently, is being present. So if you are attempting to do something, understand what comes with doing that thing. Understand every little skill set that needs to be developed in order to improve that thing or to do that thing, to accomplish your goal. Because if you can understand what goes into the process of becoming something, someone better, you can understand the little wins that you are going to have along the way. For instance, if you are someone that is, you know, say, here, well, let's use me for example. Eventually, I'm going to want to cut down, right? Now, I have been doing this for. By the time I eventually do want to cut, I'll have been doing this for over 5 years. No, over 4 years. And with each year, I have gotten better at cutting down to the correct weight. I've done it, in a more comfortable way, where I've maintained a lot of my size, and I haven't felt as miserable in the process of doing that. But because I've done it so often, the metrics or the gaps of improvement that that I can have, they're getting thinner and thinner, right? Because obviously you can only get so much. You can only get better at something until you've mastered it. And once you've mastered it, there's really not much room for improvement other than kind of like, what's it called? Other than like perspective, right? Pretty much what you're going for. So, when I do eventually cut down, the wins that are going to be for me are the wins that are the things or the instances where I'm 1% better than before. And the way I see those changes are referencing my previous attempt. Obviously, I'm not going to say, well, obviously, like, I know that at this point, I can only get so much better. And that's not to say my improvement is capped at a certain point, but it's to say that, like, the amount of change that's going to happen, at least visibly or mentally, is going to be a lot less because I don't have such a drastic thing to change, right? I've already acquired and mastered a lot of the skill set that is necessary for cutting down. Discipline, making sure that I'm accountable with myself, making sure that I'm, on top of my things, I'm responsible with what I'm doing. All those things I've accrued, or all those skill sets I've acquired, and I've, 80 to 90% mastered them. So that last 10% is going to be what's fueling me to, or not fueling me, but it's going to be the things that I celebrate. Even if it is 1% better, because I know that 1% better is a step in the right direction, right? It's as long as it is a step in towards improvement and I'm not, getting worse, it is worth something to improve. Why? Because that means that I've learned from my past experience. It means that in the previous attempt, I was able to positively and in a productive manner look at the process that I went through and say, okay, these are the things that I did correctly, and these are the things that I needed to work on. And while I was doing that, I was able to manufacture a plan in my head so that when I went at the goal again, I was able to fix the mistakes that I made, even if it is slight adjustments. Yeah. And we have to be willing to it's not retrospective. I think it's more just like we have to be willing to let go of this idea that improvement means large leaps in or only large leaps in improvement or skill set, because that's what I think a lot of people get stuck on. Especially when you're at the beginning, it is very easy for you to have these large leaps in improvement. This first 3-4 years of lifting, you're still kind of in your like newbie gains phase. So you're still, making large leaps in, in weight. You're, you're developing more muscle, you're putting on size, all these things that are these very large leaps in your skill set and the way you look and your improvements. And you kind of get attached to that in a sense because it's expected. You're like, okay, this has been happening for the past 3-4 years. I expect this of myself. Not realizing that, as you improve, the margin for you growing gets smaller and smaller and smaller, or at least improving in the sense of like the process that you undertake, and the highs and lows that you'll experience in that process. So, yeah, it's all about perspective, you guys. And you could arguably say that like the small wins that you have later on, especially in your lifting career, are even more important than the ones you have at the beginning. Because anyone can, when they make drastic change, make large improvements. The people at the beginning have it easy in a sense because their body isn't used to the stimulus. They're, trying their best, and their body is rapidly adapting to something that they have not experienced yet. Whereas when you are used to something like this and you are, 2, 4, 5 years of experience in, your body is just used to it. It's like, okay, we know the drill. And so you're essentially forcing it to grow. You're pushing it to an extent to where it's forced to adapt even further to what it's used to. So, and I guess like another way to avoid it is to find new ways of improvement, right? Weightlifting in and of itself has a lot of aspects in which you can improve. You can improve your intensity, your mentality, you can improve your discipline, you can improve, your endurance, you can improve, your weights, how much you're lifting, you can improve what you're doing. There are different forms of training that you can do. All those things. And all those things take years to do. You just have to be willing to sit yourself down and say, okay, this is what I want to do, right? Set your mind on a goal and actually pursue it and master it, because, you don't want to leave yourself wanting after, you set your mind on a goal. You don't want to leave yourself with some form of regret because you decided you wanted to switch gears because, the wins were minuscule. Well, at least in comparison to when you started. I would much rather be someone who is a master at what they're doing and winning and improving 1% each day than be a beginner and improve 50%. Because that 1% is worth 1,000 times more than the person that's just starting. The people that are, you see it every day, the people that are champions and the people that are, the best at what they do, they're always looking for a way to improve. Why? Because they know that 1% could be the difference maker between them and, the other best of the best. So don't take it too lightly when you do have those small improvements. Those things do definitely matter. And they do hold a lot of weight. You just have to have the perspective and the mindset to value those things. So hopefully that was insightful in some way. But let us do our set. So we're going to do, I have all of these weights here. Okay. Okay. I don't know why I feel my body or my mind feels so sluggish today. Like I know that I want to do this. I want to be here. I want to be doing my rest day. But like my body is like fighting me the entire way through. But I feel like I'd much rather have this then my body want to be restless and my mind feel tired, because your mind is a lot harder to overcome, especially when it comes to just drowsiness and overall tiredness. Okay. I really don't want this stupid mic to hit my face, but I feel like it's gonna, regardless of where I put it. Okay. Alrighty. Ow. It's healing. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's like pressure on this joint. Or not joint, but like this bone. And it's like a pinch. It's going away. It's definitely gotten much better than it was at the beginning, but it's still there. And it's annoying. Alrighty. We'll do one more off camera. And then we'll do some decline sit-ups. Okay. Just 2 sets. Just 2 sets. One here, one off camera. Per usual. I'm not doing a third one because my legs are dead. And I need to stretch when I get in sauna. Ow. Please don't fall. Okay, good. Thank you, plate. No, don't fall. I don't know why I bother putting these on. I already know they're gonna fall off and I'm just gonna be upset. Just sitting here, I'm tired. Nope. Okay. Nope. I stuck. Okay. Okay. One more off camera. Alrighty. Here's how we're looking today. I wanted to go in the sauna, but it was open and all the heat's gone. So it's whatever. If you did enjoy the content, please drop a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.